Wenzangu, mtaniruhusu nisome ile nilikuwa nimeandika siku ya leo, ikiwa ni siku ya muhimu, na nisome na lugha ya Kizungu. Ladies and gentlemen, I was born at the dawn of this country's independence, and that indeed is how I got my name, and I have grown up with Kenya. I have had the opportunity to see its joys, and the pains of the country have also been my own pains. Our journey has been defined by a fundamental choice, whether to unite in all our diversity to achieve greatness, or whether to walk the path of disunity, which inevitably has led to tragic consequences. Over 75 years ago, our forefathers came together without regard for their religious or ethnic differences, with a single aim: freedom from the yoke of colonialism. Their unity gained us our political freedom and independence. Unfortunately, we did not consolidate our liberty with the very unity that had won it. We Kenyans fell into division. Rather than become stronger in our diverse cultures and beliefs, we became weaker from using them to divide our people. We are not alone in this. Across the continent and in many other parts of the world, ethnicity and religion were mobilized to serve the interests of the few. In Rwanda, we witnessed 1 million who were brutally murdered just for being Tutsis, many of them by their very own neighbors. Too often in Africa, ethnic differences become political differences. Almost everywhere this has happened, death and deepening poverty were the result. For decades, South Sudan, the youngest country in the world, fought for independence. They succeeded to gain their independence, only to turn on each other, and thousands of innocent men and women have paid the highest possible price. Here in Kenya, we have sometimes made this tragic choice. It led to reversals in progress, and in 2008, it brought us to our darkest moment. We recall that it was when we were united as a people that we managed to grow and diversify our economy, to work on a dream, to stand tall among the nations. Our achievements in that early period of our nationhood came as a result of our unity. But this did not necessarily mean conformity. We argued with one another, reflecting different ideals, different visions of a common future. These differences were honest differences of ideology, and ethnicity was then a far less potent tool for organizing political mobilization than it later became. A decade after our independence, many of our economic indicators were ahead of many of the countries that came to be called the Asian tigers for their rapid progress to great wealth. Countries like Malaysia, Korea, the United Arab Emirates did benchmarking trips here to learn how we were growing new sectors of our economy. It is unfortunate that today it is the Kenyans who get on planes to go abroad to learn from those who succeeded by learning from us. Division and disunity bred a politics that was undemocratic and unresponsive to the needs of the people, until in the late 1980s, Kenyans started to agitate for change, seeking to unite around a common goal of pursuing multi-party democracy. Unfortunately, no sooner had we seen the promise of unity that we took the wrong turn in the road again. From that came the politics of division and even ethnic violence through the 1990s. The politics of this new century also started with a call of unity in 2002. However, no sooner had that diverse and united government taken office that the cracks again appeared. Much was achieved in development and economic growth, but disunity along ethnic lines almost destroyed this country. Our first referendum in 2005 was a major political milestone. Unfortunately, it also became a platform for a new era of ethnic politics. In that divided way, we walked into the tragic breakdown following the 2007 elections. Fellow Kenyans, today we must say that we cannot allow ourselves to keep making this fatal choice. Indeed, William and I chose to unite as friends and as Kenyans. We urge conflicting communities to come together in search of reconciliation, knowing that this would be the path of unity that this country deserves and needs. We decided to offer leadership to serve the people of Kenya, who have always sought freedom and progress in spite of their sometimes disappointing leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, in my reflections on the importance of this day, I draw strength from Psalm 133. How good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. This yearning for unity is what inspired a new constitution that articulates our expectations, rights, and obligations. We have labored mightily to make it a success. Our national story, the story of Kenya, is a story of triumph over tribulation, of patient striving, rewarded with freedom, self-government, and a measure of prosperity. But that, dear Kenyans, is not enough. There are still children in Kenya who struggle with parents who still have difficulty finding skilled medical care for themselves and their children. And there are still young Kenyans who want to work but cannot find the jobs they need to support their families. Into our hearts, we will remember that we have been divided and that this has frustrated our search for the growth and stability that would allow us to build true shared prosperity. We want to succeed as individuals. We want to succeed as communities and as a nation. But we know that only unity gives a firm foundation for that success. Over the years, I have had the opportunity to travel across this republic. And I can indeed tell you that in every corner of Kenya, there is a deep yearning for that unity, and that is not an idle desire. Kenyans love their neighbors, just as they remember all those who suffered in the past because of our divisions. The pain of the past means that all of us must work for reconciliation. That responsibility falls on every Kenyan, but it falls especially heavily on those of us who are called to lead. It is we who must lead the effort of healing and reconciling this country. And that, fellow Kenyans, is why we are here today. Not every leader can read the signs of the times. Many still hope to find opportunity in division. Time and again, they have divided Kenyans against each other. Time and again, they have chosen violent, destructive, and undemocratic politics. And each and every time, ordinary Kenyans have paid a high price for the irresponsibility of their leaders. That is why I say to you now, and to those who still sell the politics of division and negativity, you have had your chance. You have wasted it again and again, always opting to divide Kenyans rather than unite them. Indeed, for us we say today that their time is done. Our generation has learnt from their mistakes. We refuse to make them all over again. We cannot go back. We will not go back. Our generation will its responsibility and destiny to lead us on a path of unity and to reach the heights that we once dreamt of. Fellow Kenyans, in biblical times, the Jubilee was a celebration of freedom, reconciliation, and renewal. At a time of division, we took the name Jubilee to reach for reconciliation. We hoped that it would light our path to a Kenya in which we are truly one. We know the cost of division and disharmony, and that is why we thank God, who continually redeems our struggle with His grace and mercy. What we have done and what we must keep doing is to embrace His will for all of us. We are here as a Jubilee family to proclaim the meaning of our party. The party that we launch here today is an expression of our unity, our oneness, and our togetherness. In launching it, we renew and we strengthen the ties that bind Kenyans together. We rise from the ashes of conflict to express the beauty of reconciliation and collective purpose. The men and women who came before us and to whom we owe our freedom well understood this. Mikatilili, Koitalel Arab Samoei, Jomo Kenyatta, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Masinde Muliro, Said Wabera, Malcolm Singh, Tom Mboya, just to name a few. They taught us that without unity, we cannot be free. That is a lesson that we have keenly learned. It is a lesson we will never forget, and that is why we gather here today. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, this party welcomes every Kenyan, whatever part of the republic they call home. And yes, our accord as a party will grow to embrace the whole country, and standing as one, we shall build our nation. That is not the only lesson that we have learned from our past. We know that the unity of the past, the unity of our fathers and mothers, was lost because we succumbed to personality cults and because we did not protect internal democracy in our parties. Jubilee will not make the mistakes of the parties that came before us. Every shade of opinion will have its say in this party. Every member will get a fair hearing, and we will embrace internal party democracy, and we urge other political parties to do the same. The aim is for Kenyans to have genuine political choices where any one of us can feel at home without regard to the spelling of their names, the color of their skin, their place of worship, their gender, or whether or not they are disabled. We want all Kenyans to say that this party is their home. And frankly, and I want to reiterate, this party that we launch is not about William Ruto, nor about Uhuru Kenyatta. It is about a generational statement of change. It is the living proof that we have learned from the mistakes of our predecessors. It is the embodiment of the will of the Kenyan people who are deeply tired of political parties that are nothing more than special purpose vehicles to elect selfish leaders or enclaves designed to protect tribal interests at the expense of the national good. This party, your party, is about taking the path that has been less trodden. It is about being custodians of our country's long-term development agenda. It is about the recognition that we can no longer plan the future of our nation based on the short-sightedness of electoral cycles, but rather on the strongly held moral convictions, beliefs, and programs and projects that will stand the test of time and outlive any individual leader or party. Jubilee is about the appreciation that we must celebrate the diversity of our 42 million Kenyans by working together as different communities to build on those things that we share in common, as opposed to fighting about the issues that make each of us unique. Jubilee is the party of African unity. We embrace our rich Pan-African heritage, our glorious as well as our painful history as Africans. We remember the days when the voice of Kenya was transmitted from Cairo, supporting our freedom fighters in their struggle. And we are also uplifted by the memory of Mwalimu Nyerere, who was reluctant for Tanzania's independence to come before Kenya won her freedom. We look up to the giants such as Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, who stood tall and for a time carried a continent's hopes on their broad shoulders. Abdulaziz Bouteflika is still a giant of Africa's liberation, and it has been my pleasure to come to know him better in the last few years. We follow in their footsteps. We believe that the African can achieve anything to which he sets his mind. We pursue our vision for Africa with deeds by driving the integration of our region and the entire continent, by building railways and roads to connect our people to the rich opportunities in Africa, by opening our borders so that our brothers and sisters can work and travel freely on this continent. Ladies and gentlemen, that is why I have worked hard to position Kenya at the heart of conflict resolution and stabilization in the region, to turn our fragile and conflict-prone neighborhood into a peaceful and prosperous home, and Kenya must take the lead. In pursuit of this aim, we as Kenyans have paid a heavy price to end conflicts, but I want to assure you that that price is worth it. For peace in our region and on our continent is key for our own peace and certainly for our long-term prosperity. Jubilee believes in the power of the individual Kenyan. We know that with diligence, determination, and a dream, you can change your life and the life of those around you. Our job is to govern in a way that embraces the individual's hopes and empowers them to turn their dreams into reality. Jubilee celebrates the entrepreneur's quest to build value and create wealth for our nation, for our people, and for the individual. We are building a government that is an aid, not an impediment, to the innovator and the investor. One that makes it easier and cheaper to do business. This party runs an administration that seeks affordable loans so that people can grow their businesses and own a decent home. Jubilee cherishes the power of community, believing that we are better together. United, we are greater than the sum of our individual parts. Each of us has had to struggle at one point or other in life. Each of us has stumbled. Each of us has sometimes needed the helping hand of family and friends. And precisely because we know that no one succeeds alone, Jubilee will be the party of empathy and solidarity. But of course, the true test of empathy and solidarity is our treatment of the most vulnerable amongst us. Jubilee will always offer a helping hand to those who need it most. In this quest for unity and prosperity, we are blessed to have a partner also who shares in the same vision, and I'm referring, of course, to William Ruto, who yesterday you all heard as he outlined the development highlights that have been achieved by my administration in the last 3.5 years. It is a story of an administration that has a sense of urgency, one that is determined to make the most of the time allocated. We have shown that it is possible to balance the sensitivities of midwifing a complex transition to a devolved government while steadily strengthening our nation's security, overseeing the construction of roads, the refurbishment of health facilities, and raising our international prestige and influence. We know that we can together develop a nation and achieve for our people every right that is guaranteed in Chapter 4 of our Constitution. Yet we are a nation in a hurry to achieve our destiny. So we should not bask in the achievements of the last couple of years without looking ahead at the immense work that still remains. Our efforts since 2013 have shown Kenyans a glimpse of the prosperity that can be attained by an aggressive development agenda led by a united government. Our countrymen and women now expect even more from us. More roads, more jobs, more food, better schools, better hospitals, and better lives. We are clear as a party why we want to continue leading this nation into the future, because we have a solid track record and a clear roadmap of what Kenyans should expect from a Jubilee administration going forward. In the next 5 years, the name of Kenya will be known across our continent as a champion of Africa's interests. We will continue to play our role within the African Union to build a stronger continent whose peoples can travel and trade freely, and whose economies are stronger and more resilient because we have chosen to do business together, first as Africans. We will always push to do away with the artificial economic barriers that have divided us for so long, so that our people can seek opportunities anywhere on the continent, and so our Kenyan businesses can grow and thrive to become African multinationals. Indeed, here at home, the single biggest political development since independence has been devolution. Kenya has been recognized the world over for the record time in which the transition to a devolved system of government has happened. We in Jubilee are proud to have midwifed this development. No other political administration in the world has managed this sort of transition in just 3 years. Devolution today is a success because of the Jubilee administration. It has started delivering to Kenyans, and we will seek to strengthen the intergovernmental framework to ensure that the areas most critical to the lives of Kenyans, people will see improved coherence between the two main levels of government. And we will continue with the Jubilee policy of progressively increasing shareable revenues with county governments by working together to grow the national economy. Fellow Kenyans, by the end of 2018, our Leave No Child Behind policy will have delivered more classes, more teachers, and increased funding for student capitation. No primary school student, and I say none whatsoever, will miss a place in a public secondary school on account of not being able to afford school fees. Indeed, in 5 years, every child in Kenya will have the opportunity to go to a public day secondary school and receive quality education. Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue the unprecedented investment in our security services because our security is the guarantee of our prosperity. We commit to the brave men and women in uniform that we will continue to provide them with better equipment, improve mobility, and improving their terms of service. Most importantly, we will ensure that every member of our disciplined service has a decent roof over their heads as part of our housing program, which kicks off in October of this year. It is our obligation to look after the men and women who risk their lives to look after us. And in return, we expect that they will know utumishi kwa wote is a standard that we must insist they meet. We have seen the work being done to bring electricity into every homestead. In another 2 years, every household in Kenya will have access to affordable electricity. This initiative is an initiative that is dear to me because it is a game changer for our young people and the catalyst that will bring development to every corner of our country. Our transformation of the healthcare system across the country is irreversible. Our hospitals will be centers of excellence for the African continent, and we will continue training more doctors, more nurses, and more medical technicians. We will continue to provide the latest medical equipment and services. Through our collaboration with our international friends, the Jubilee administration will ensure that in the next 5 years, the stories of Kenyans bankrupting their families in order to send loved ones for treatment abroad will come to an end. Instead, we shall be the destination for medical tourists. In the next 5 years, we will continue with our aggressive investment in infrastructure. We will extend the reach of the road network to link our towns and marketplaces. We will complete our aviation strategy to open up new airports in more counties. And we will complete some of the long-promised infrastructure, like the Likoni Bridge, the Dongo Kundu Bypass, which will transform the south coast of Kenya. We also, in collaboration with the government of Ethiopia, plan to build the bridges over the River Dawa and open up immense trading opportunities for our brothers and sisters in northern Kenya. We will follow through with our commitment to restore the role of the rail network as the backbone of commercial transport. Through completion of the next phase of the SGR project, which I intend to launch in mid-October, and restoring as well as repairing the existing meter gauge. As a matter of priority, we will invest our political goodwill, time and resources to strengthen the institution of the judiciary. Kenyans demand a judiciary able to deal decisively with corruption, and one that is efficient in its procedures and predictable in its application of the law. We will do everything within our ability to help them achieve this objective, and we will live up to the promise that justice truly shall be our shield and defender. To the young men and women here and those watching this event from across the country, and indeed in the diaspora, Jubilee is your party. Every policy we have implemented is about you. Everything we do is laying the foundation for your prosperity. We are quickly revising our manufacturing sector to become a nation of producers, an economy that creates decent jobs for all of you. And this is the legacy that we seek. Jubilee is your party, and you are the generation of the moment, and without a doubt, our party is nothing without you. Ladies and gentlemen, we know who we are. We are certain of our mission. We are united and strong. Together we can do and will do all we commit ourselves to do. Today, my fellow Kenyans, we commit to work hard. We commit to trust each other, to unite, to love our country, to uphold, protect, and defend our Constitution, to enrich devolution, to stand with and for the family, to protect our environment, to grow our economy, and to make life better for ourselves and indeed for our children. And through that, fulfill our mission also of serving God. We are here today as a Jubilee Party to tell you why you should wake up on August 8th of 2017 to cast your votes for us, to give our party time to deliver on our vision of equality, justice, and prosperity for all. As I close, I would like to really sincerely extend my thanks and appreciation to all the delegates who have been working so hard for the last 2 days to bring us to where we are, enfolding their parties and allowing us to have this great launch and not giving us any side events and side shows. I also want to thank them because during this period, their focus was a Jubilee agenda and not personalities. We don't want to waste our time talking about our opponents. We want to focus on what we are going to deliver to and for the people of Kenya. Indeed, as party leader of the Jubilee Party, I look forward to meeting my political opponents on a platform and in an arena where we shall compete on the basis of ideas, on the basis of policies, on the basis of programs and the development agenda, and be able to do so in a peaceful environment that will provide Kenyans with a real choice of what they desire. Indeed, I encourage them to get their own act together. Tukutane kwa uwanja kwa njia ya amani. Hiyo tu, hiyo ndio tunahitaji. And I give them my guarantee that as much as I will be in the forefront of propagating the Jubilee agenda, I assure them that as President of the Republic and having taken the oath of protecting all citizens, we will ensure that even our opponents are given their full democratic space to express their views without fear and without favor. Na watalindwa kila kitu. Sisi hatuna haja na vita na mtu. Tunataka tuuze sera zetu, hawa wauze zao, wananchi mwishowe waamue ni barabara gani tutatembea. Therefore, dear party members, let us leave this place energized and inspired. Go out to our counties, towns, villages and markets to take the mission of spreading the values and vision of Jubilee. Reach out and rally for the unity in which we all believe in, and let us welcome everybody we can to join our movement. For Jubilee has room for every single Kenyan. Kwa hayo machache na mengi, nasema Mungu awabariki. Leo ni siku ya kihistoria ambayo tutaikumbuka miaka na miaka ambayo itakuja. Turudi manyumbani tukauze sera za chama chetu kwa amani na kwa umoja. Na la mwisho, naambia viongozi wale ambao wamekaa nyuma yangu leo, chama cha Jubilee sio chama ya Ruto, sio chama ya Uhuru. Wale watu ambao wanataka kusimama kwa vyeo kutoka MCA mpaka mjumbe mpaka senator mpaka governor, mtaenda kwa wananchi, wale ndio watawapatia kura. Hiyo ndivyo itakuwa. Hakuna mtu atasimamiwa. Yetu tu itakuwa kuhakikisha ya kwamba uchaguzi wa nomination utafanywa kwa njia ya haki na ukweli, lakini waamuzi ni wa wananchi, na sisi tutafanya kazi na wale wananchi watatupatia. Kwa hayo machache na mengi, nasema Mungu awabariki. Asante.